What does love mean to you? A grand gesture? Buying flowers? Cooking dinner? Or perhaps something more? Well, in ancient Egypt, love was beyond all of these. It was a part of everyday life, from the simplest tasks to the most momentous occasions. And while the idea of marriage may have been different in ancient times, the fundamental desire to find a partner and build a life together remains the same. So, whether you're looking for love or just curious about what it meant in another time and place, join us as we explore love and marriage in ancient Egypt. The most renowned Egyptian ruler in contemporary times is most known not for any of his achievements, but for his complete tomb, which was found in 1922. Tutankhamun, while being a young man when he ascended to the throne, tried his utmost to re-establish Egyptian stability and religious rituals after his father Akhenaten's reign. He did so with his young bride and half-sister Akhenaten at his side, and paintings of the two of them together are among the most intriguing portrayals of romantic love in ancient Egypt. Akhenaten is always shown alongside her spouse, which is not remarkable given the prevalence of such depictions. What makes these specific ones unique is how the artist highlights their love for one another via closeness, hand gestures, and facial emotions. Let's learn more about ancient Egyptian marriage. In ancient Egypt, there was no such thing as a wedding ceremony. A lady was wedded to a guy the moment she entered his home with the agreed-upon items. Marriages were often arranged by one's parents, with a bride price agreed upon and reciprocal presents from the groom's family to the bride's. Prenuptial agreements were widespread, and the bride's personal goods remained hers to do with as she chose after the marriage. The goal of marriage was to bear children, but couples were also supposed to love and respect one another. The groom and bride's father would draft a marriage agreement, which would be signed in front of witnesses, and the pair would be deemed married. The children of the marriage belonged to the mother and would follow her in the event of divorce. Despite several warnings about the unfaithful women were granted tremendous independence in marriage. Tomb paintings, as well as other works of art and inscriptions, depict husbands and wives dining, dancing, and working together. A brother might marry a sister or half-sister in royal households, although this was frowned upon by the rest of the populace. Most marriages were planned to benefit both parties, and it was thought that as they lived together, they would learn to love one another if they did not already. The stable nuclear family unit was thought to be the foundation of a stable society. Although royals were allowed to marry whoever they wanted, the ordinary people were encouraged to marry outside of their lineages, with the exception of cousins. There are records of girls being married as young as 12 and boys getting married as young as 15, but the normal age for females seems to have been 14, and the typical age for boys to have been 18 or 20. Unfortunately, child marriage is still happening this day. It is a violation of children's rights and exposes them to a higher danger of being exploited, abused, and even killed. Child marriage affects both girls and boys, but it has a disproportionately negative effect on the lives of females. Marriage at a young age means that childhood is over. It has a harmful impact on the child's rights to health, education, and protection. These consequences have an effect not just on the girl, but also on her family and the society in which she lives. If a girl is married off while she is still a kid, she has a far higher chance of dropping out of school, not being able to earn money, and not making a contribution to the society. A boy at this period would have already learned and performed his father's profession, but a female, unless she was of royal blood, would have been taught in-house management and caring for the children, the old, and the pets. But what happens in case of a divorce? Well, let's find out. The end of a marriage was as straightforward as the commencement. One or both spouses filed for divorce, property was distributed in accordance with the prenuptial agreement, a new agreement was written, and the marriage ended. This implies that even goods that the husband may have grown to consider his were to be split with his wife in accordance with the initial arrangement. She was permitted to take everything she had brought into the marriage with her when it ended. Only a well-proven accusation of adultery might strip a woman of her divorce rights. These agreements got increasingly sophisticated throughout the New Kingdom and late period as divorce processes seemed to have been more formalized and a central authority became more engaged in the proceedings. Many late-period papers seem to be genuine marriage contracts. In the event of divorce, the dowry supplied by the groom at the time of the marriage was returned to the woman for her maintenance, or she received a single payment. Even if no children were involved, alimony payments were a possibility, with the husband giving his ex-wife a monthly allowance until she remarried. Marriage, on the other hand, was meant to endure a lifetime and even into the afterlife. Most males survived barely into their 30s, while women commonly died as young as 16 in childbirth and lived a little longer than men. If one had a good connection with one's spouse, the prospect of meeting them again would have helped to cushion the blow of death. Tomb paintings and inscriptions portray the pair in the field of reeds, enjoying one another's company and performing the same activities they did on Earth. The Egyptian concept in eternity was a crucial foundation to a marriage in that one sought to make one's and others' lives on Earth as joyful as possible in order to enjoy it forever. Following death, one appeared in judgment before Osiris and, if justified, was transported to the field of reeds. There, one would discover all that one had left behind on Earth, including one's house, favorite tree, best-loved cat or dog, and those who had previously died, including one's spouse. However, if one does not treat one's wife or husband properly in life, this reunion may never occur, and worse, one may suffer in this life and the next. There are several instances of inscriptions and charms meant to ward off ill luck or situations considered to be caused by an afterlife spouse haunting a person or taking retribution from the other side through wicked spirits. Sometimes the person who was cursed called a priest to intercede with the deceased and break the curse. In such circumstances, a man or woman would go to a priest and have a spell made detailing their side of the tale and pleading with the spouse's spirit to stop what they were doing. If, on the other hand, the individual was genuinely guilty of any wrongdoing, they would have to confess and make amends in some manner. Priests would issue whatever atonement was required, and once completed, the curse would be removed. Ceramic shards of crockery shattered at various ceremonial locations showed appreciation to a god or goddess for their mediation in such issues or supplications asking for their assistance in putting an end to the spouse's feud. Another option for resolving such problems would be to erase the person's recollection from existence. This was accomplished by erasing all photos of them. The mastaba tomb of the 6th dynasty official Khayamonk, who had all traces of his wife Jesset obliterated from the walls, is a renowned example of this. One soul only lived on if they were remembered by the people on Earth, and enormous monuments, obelisks, and temples like Karnak in Thebes were all attempts to ensure continuing remembering. When a person's identity and image are destroyed, it causes great suffering to their soul, and it's possible that they will no longer be able to remain in the field of reeds. Because the ghost would need to be shown a picture of themselves or hear their name in order to return, it is very unlikely that they would be able to actually cause any damage on Earth. It was thought that such issues may be avoided by living one's life in awareness of everlasting harmony and practicing compassion in one's everyday existence. The Egyptians enjoyed life and intended to replicate its most pleasurable elements in the future, argues scholar James F. Romano. Love and marriage were among the more enjoyable things that one would enjoy forever as long as one made the most of them while on Earth. This brings us to the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also, click on the notification bell to get notified every time we upload a new video.